Right, I suppose we could start off with our journeys with BeLive, because it's been quite a journey. I mean, I showed in the previous show photographs of Sophia and Daniel back in 2016, but we've been involved from the outset. And from all of us, a shout out to Mr. Jeff Adams, who helped create the BeLivers group, which we moderate. So, Jeff, hope you're doing well. And also a shout out, whilst the three of us are here, to Owen, who's not part of this 3 days. We wish Owen a speedy recovery, a speedy and steady recovery. Because that's the whole thing about it. It is a community, isn't it? I mean, BeLive have built a community of people. It's not individuals. Yeah. We're all for one and one for all.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely.
Right, I'm going to stop asking yes/no questions, haven't I?
Well, I was sort of just waiting. I'm like, I talk a lot, and I thought, well, maybe Bridgetti will jump in there, and then, well, whatever.
Okay, so
there you go.
So for anyone who's watching today who doesn't know who I am, my name is Bridgetti Lim Banda. I am one of the moderators who love to help you upscale your live streaming game. And we welcome questions and you know, all the time we love to help people. I'm a social entrepreneur and a live streaming advocate, and I love to help brands and thought leaders tell their stories. And so, like many of you here, I produce and host online live streaming shows for social media and the web, and lead conversations with entrepreneurs and thought leaders. So, of course, my journey with BeLive started 3 years ago. And 3 years ago, I couldn't introduce myself with confidence the way I do now. So if you're watching the show and you're just getting started, know that it's okay, because there was no way I could introduce myself this confidently 3 years ago. It's been quite a phenomenal journey. So my story is that I got started in live streaming for social good. That happens to be my thing. It happens to be my passion. I saw a social need, and I decided that that social need was greater than my fear of going live. So it was quite a journey. I was very nervous in the beginning. It took a lot of practice. It took a lot of encouragement. I watched tons and tons and tons of people. And one of the people I admired right from the beginning was people like Jeff Adams, for example. You know, I watched a ton of his shows. I watched Molly's shows. There were so many role models in the BeLivers group. I mean, the group is now like 10,000 strong. Phenomenal live streamers. So if you're just getting started, you just need to know that it's okay if you're nervous in the beginning. It's a growth path, and you'll get to the point where you feel confident. You know, my first passion, for example, was the Cape Town water crisis, which was, you know, we were running out of water and people needed to get information. And from my research, there was nothing as engaging as live streaming to help bring a community together. And I was filled with a passion to be able to help myself and help my community. And I realized that with live streaming, although I didn't know much about water per se, other than I'm a user of water, but I realized that I could engage with thought leaders in the in water and interview them and grow in my knowledge and share that knowledge with my fellow citizens who were in need as well. So that is what helped me to overcome my hurdle of life. So find your passion is my message. Find your passion, and it'll help you realize that it's bigger than just you, and let that passion drive you. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, but David, your story goes further back than that.
Yes. Well, where to begin? Well, I've been live streaming actually for about 10 years. And people say, what? Live streaming's been around that long? Yeah, I got started. It was something called Ustream way back. And I wasn't doing it full time. Don't get me wrong. My background is as a mobile disc jockey. I DJed weddings and stuff. I was a full-time karaoke host. Yes, that was a career for 20 years. So, I come from an entertainment background and I guess being comfortable in front of the microphone. But as I was sharing earlier on your pre-show there, Steven, it wasn't always like that. First time I ever stood in front of a microphone, I opened my mouth and nothing came out. Right? I went,
yeah.
If you can believe that. I know that's hard for some people who don't believe that now. But that was 30 years ago, right? So, but live streaming for me, my life changed just around that time, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do and all that other stuff. And I was playing around with internet radio. Was I going to go radio or was I going to go video? And I was like, this video thing. Then I saw this, what was that thing called YouTube? I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that.
No.
And I was kind of playing around with that anyway, and now here we are. And then I do a community show promoting where I live here in Sarnia Lambton in Canada, about 73,000 people. And I was recording that for the longest time. There were times that I interviewed people from around the world and recorded it using a third-party app that was really, honestly, quite crap. But it was very well at the time. And when BeLive came along, I was like, I've been just waiting for something. I had the idea in my head, but I wasn't the guy to put it all together. And it's been quite a journey since. And, I've always kept looking around, like, is there something else or whatever? But I've never left BeLive. I don't intend to ever leave BeLive. And one of the reasons is what you said about in the beginning, Steven, is the community that's been built in the BeLivers group. The support that BeLive offers. When they ask, they want us to let them know what we're looking for. And it might not always happen right away. They have to prioritize things, but they do listen. Oh, yeah. And I think that's a key point. I teach live streaming at my local college as part of an esports course. And Ryan said a lot of the same things, tone of voice, all that stuff, exactly what I teach. But one of the biggest things that I teach is building a community. You build a community and people will do amazing things to make things happen. Build relationships and impact. And BeLive has built a lot of relationships and they've had a huge impact, not just on the new person, but people like myself who've been doing this for a very long time. And I'm really proud to be a part of BeLive and what they're doing here.
I echo your words there about BeLive. I mean, BeLive is what brought the three of us together.
Absolutely.
Because, David, you and I do a show on Mondays, and Bridgetti, you and I do a show on Fridays. So we meet up every week. We're on each other's shows, and we spread the word about BeLive.tv. My journey started before BeLive.tv, but about 4 years ago, I was watching a show on a system called Blab, which for a long time has been a word we couldn't mention, but I think we can mention it now because it's been long enough. And on Blab, the system was that you had 4 people on screen and you could talk to each other and people could comment as much as people are commenting now. Facebook wasn't in the picture, but Blab was the first time that you could actually go live with other people and have a live conversation on video. And from my point of view, I was sat there watching somebody actually go live from Cornwall down in England. And he said, well, I'm getting towards the end of my show now. If you'd like to join me, just click that link. Before I knew it, I clicked that link. I was in the show, and here we are, 4 years later, and I'm still going live, for which I'm eternally grateful. And I'm the guy who's read the Udemy course, 2 Udemy courses about BeLive. But we've seen a lot fall by the wayside. I mean, we can actually mention Lightstream. That's Huzzer. Yeah. Smile Time.
Oh, Smile Time, yes.
See, we forget, but
how quickly we forget.
All those were part of the live journey until BeLive arrived 3 years ago. And that's when the game changed, because you could actually get 2 people on screen on Facebook. You could see the comments, you could feature the comments on screen. And that's where the story started in October 2016. And we were around. We were fortunate to be in the right place at the right time to hear about it. And it was all done by word of mouth. And it went from less than 100 users to a few thousand users in a couple of days. and the rest, as they say, is history, which brings us neatly up to date and are being here today. Now, we're here today because of the BeLivers group and because we enjoy using BeLive and we use it on a regular basis. When we say something, we're not talking about theory. We've actually all done hundreds of shows on BeLive and enjoy doing so. We've met hundreds of people around the world, and that's key, isn't it? I mean, do you know how many people you've actually met over the last 3 years?
Oh, wow. My goodness. Well, I'm a little, I mean, I've been doing BeLive for that long. I'm into my 415th episode coming up today of my show. Now, keep in mind, there was 8 years of that was all pre-recorded, but I've interviewed people from all over the planet, from Argentina to just pick a country, right? And I think that's probably one of the greatest things is there's no borders anymore. You know, we're one big city. We're not even a planet. You know, we're one big city. And it goes beyond the live streaming. And what I mean by that is, you know, Steven, you and I have built a really nice relationship, not just in the live stream world and personal. We've shared personal things between us. Bridgetti, same thing. You know, we share some personal stories, and it's not just a relationship; it's a friendship as well, right? And not with everybody, because we don't, you know, but you know, there's many. It blows my mind every time we do something like a live con or whatever, and I see these names popping up, and I was like, I've never even heard of that person yet. That's how big this community has grown to, and it's a professional one, but it's a personal one as well.
Oh, absolutely. And for me, you know, you never know what kind of impact you can make with live video. I'm sorry, was I talking over you a bit there? Because I think there's a bit of a lag.
You're good.
You know, you never know what kind of impact you can make with live video. Just to give you my own example for anyone who's watching, you know, with the live streaming that I did using BeLive TV, highlighting the Cape Town water crisis, I had radio and TV stations reach out to me from every corner of the earth. They somehow had seen my live streams, and so I ended up being on well-known radio and TV shows. I was invited there without me connecting with them. They found me. They found my live streams. They saw me as a source of authority based on my live streaming. You know, so you never know what kind of impact you can make. Not just, so here's the key thing. It's not just local impact, it's global impact. So the way I like to call it is that when you use live video, you're literally able to break away from the four walls of your business and take your business globally. So it's business without walls. You know, or if you're running a nonprofit, whatever it is you're doing, you're breaking out of a local mentality and making your business services available to people locally. And if people, you know, you think of, I live here with Fons, for example, that you and Fons do, Steven, and likewise with you, David. When we do shows together, we connect our audiences from our part of the world.
Yep.
And that is phenomenal. You know, it just blows my mind sometimes when you think of how you, as you said, David, we become a global village, as it were.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, I like that global village. Can I borrow that?
Of course. I might do that too.
But the first thing, you know, and we talk, okay, so we're talking relationships and we're talking impact, and that's a huge part of it. I couldn't agree with that more. But the first thing you got to do is click the go live button. And, you know, Ryan mentioned it earlier before we all came on. There is something that's stopping you, and it's we call it camera confidence. It's called fear. It's really fear. I'm afraid of what's that silly shirt he's wearing, or what's that funny looking tie, or what's that crazy thing. And all these stories that we create in our head that we think people might be judging us on.
Yeah.
they typically aren't. But we create those stories. But it's that fear of going live, you know. Recorded camera is one thing. Even that, people just don't like getting in front of a camera. But that can be polished up. Live is honest, right? You can't edit it until it's the way it is. And I think that's probably part of the fear. And, you know, we've asked the question before in different programs we've done, what's stopping you from doing that? I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? You click the go live button and what? Like, what's really the worst thing that could happen?
The worst that could happen is that you're not happy when you watch it back. We'll come to that in a moment. You've got to be happy with your own presence.
Yeah.
And to do that, you don't need to go live to the whole billions of people on Facebook.
Right.
You just create a Facebook group, find a friend, and you go live in the group, and you go live, and your friend will watch it, and they will give you a critique. And if they're a good friend, they'll be honest.
Yeah.
And then you invite more friends into the group until you're actually built up people who will tell you exactly how it is so that you can improve.
Yeah.
But it's not as frightening when you've actually got friends watching as it is 2.3 billion people on Facebook.
Right.
But the thing is, sorry, David.
No, and I was just going to say, we talk about judging, right? And the one who's really judging us the most is ourselves.
Well, not me, us.
It's not you. It's me. Oh, my hair. I didn't have my whatever.
I used to have hair. I don't have that problem anymore. Basically, if you go live in a group and you build up a number of friends in the group, then eventually what will happen is you feel confident enough to go live on Facebook on your own timeline, and everybody who's in the group will come and barrack for you, to cheer you on, to promote you, to help you and start you off in your live video journey. Yeah. And they're friends. What they're there for is to help you and support you. If they help and support you, then of course you will help and support them. So quid pro quo. And that works best. Do it privately first and then go public afterwards, Bridgetti.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great tip. And the other thing I did in the beginning was to watch tons and tons of live streams, you know, because you pick up different tips from different people. And then you want to add your own personality, because the one thing you want to do is be yourself. Because, you know, if you're not yourself, your audience is going to pick that up very, very quickly. We had a conversation, there was a conversation about that in the earlier segment before us, you know, talking about, you know, a lot of people say in many spheres of life, fake it till you make it. In live streaming, it's not something you want to be doing. You want to be your authentic self from the beginning, because that's what people resonate with when you bring yourself to the table. And one of the excuses people often use about live streaming is that, well, you know, there's so many people who sell cars. Why would I want to start a live stream selling cars? Well, the answer to that is people are going to be drawn to the kind of person you are. There may be tons and tons of people who sell cars, but no one else is going to have your unique personality. And it's your unique personality that's going to draw people to want to buy cars from you. So never allow yourself to be put off from getting started in live streaming if you think, well, there's already too many people in my industry. Don't let that put you off. Bring your personality and people will follow you.
Yeah. We call that in the technical world, we call that a unique selling proposition. But what that really means is just why am I going to come to you if I'm selling cars and he's selling cars? Why are they going to come to you and not the other guy? And that's your own personal tone of voice there. Again, Ryan talked a lot about a lot of this stuff, and that's, if you're hearing this stuff again for the second time from different people, that's a big clue.
Right. I just want to say hello to Kelly and to Son and to Christine and Graham. I mean, the difference today, of course, is that we're not controlling things, and this is unusual for the three of us, because normally when we do a show, we're producing the show, and we can bring all the comments on screen, as Leslie is doing at the moment, and we can actually see them. But at the moment, I've got bright lights shining either side of me, and I can't see a darn thing. So if we miss your name, apologies. So I think I've just missed Karen. Yeah. Okay. So the other thing was we were just broadcasting earlier in the BeLivers group, and if you didn't catch it, it's well worth a replay, if only to see pictures of Sophia and Daniel from 2016. The thing that we're talking about was being niche, and Fons was talking about he has a friend who's interested in street lighting in Cambridge, which is about as niche as you can get, because how many people will be interested in that topic? And the other thing was that he had a fear of the camera. So what Fons did is he took his portable to Jay's shed, gentleman is called Jay, and he put his portable down and said, right, okay, I'm going to press the record button, and all you need to do is speak. Okay, it's not going live anywhere. I'm just going to record it, and what we'll do is I'll premiere it on Facebook on a Sunday night for half an hour, and just talk about what you love. Talk about street lighting in Cambridge. Now, I've watched the show, and the first show he was nervous, second show less so, and the sixth and final show in this series goes out on Sunday, and he's got all the confidence in the world now, and he's saying to Fons, I want to do my own show. So the second way is you can actually start off on recording. And this is the magic of the internet. I'm not interested in Cambridge street lighting for more than half an hour, but there are people who are interested in street lighting in different cities and towns throughout the UK, and they've got in touch with Jay, and Jay is now making friends who share his enthusiasm and passion for street lighting. It's the magic of live.
Yeah, it really is. Well, and that's another point too, is do your passion, right? I mean, look, most people doing this live stream thing, it's not full time for most people.
Agreed. Yep.
Right. It's a hobby, and that's fine, right? Then there's people like myself and yourself, Steve. You know, like this is part of what I do full time. That is live streaming, and we can get into that maybe a little bit later. But do your passion. Like, don't feel like you have to impress anybody. And what I find as a person who typically interviews people, once I get them talking about their passion, and they're usually quite nervous, so I don't know if I can talk for 15 minutes or what. Once you get people talking about their passion, they will go on forever. So if you want to make it easy on yourself, do the thing that you do. Don't try to invent something or, well, I got to be as popular as the guy over there. Just do, and I know it's cliche, just do you. Just be you. Do the thing that you love. And the words will they will. Once you get started, you get past 30 seconds, you will be surprised.
Oh.
That would be.
Well, the thing is, you can lose yourself in the show, Bridgetti, because you get so carried away with what you're talking about, what your guest is talking about.
Oh, absolutely. And the other tip I'd like to offer to anyone watching and who wants to still get started in live streaming is, if you haven't yet joined the BeLivers group, be sure to join the BeLivers group. And there are various shows that are unique to the community that are just purely community shows. And what the hosts often do is that they will invite people in the group to come on screen with them. Take those opportunities. Please do yourself a favor and grab those opportunities, because you're going live within the safety of the community. And it's going to give you the opportunity to practice with a whole lot of people. And you'll find that, the hosts of the shows within the BeLive community are experienced hosts, and they will make you feel comfortable. I did a lot of that in the beginning, and it was amazing. It gave me so much opportunities to practice. And the other great thing that comes out of that is when somebody invites you on the show, you being exposed to their community. So it's an opportunity to grow your own tribe or your own community and expose yourself to people in the other parts of the world. So grab those opportunities with both hands, because when you are a guest, you're not doing any of the controls, so you don't have to worry about that. You can simply allow yourself to be led by the host. and I hope, the hosts are experienced, as I said, they won't hang you out to dry. It'll never happen. So if you fear that, it will not happen. They will guide you. They will direct the conversation, and you can just be yourself. And it's within the safety of the BeLivers group. So, so do that. Grab any opportunity you get when somebody says, "Who's going to volunteer?" Raise your hand, and go for it. Be a guest.
Wise words, and be a guest is a great way of doing it.
There's a little bit of humor in there when you just said that. It reminded me of 2 television commercials from probably way back in the city. What did I say in the city? In the 70s.
Okay.
Bridgetti, what did you say? Be sure, raise your hand. Raise your hand if you're sure. Does anybody remember that one?
No, you see this. We
sure deodorant. Sure deodorant.
No.
If you're sure.
We live in a global village, and I'm in the UK, and Bridgetti's in South Africa, and Canadian television. And
The other one was "Be Our Guest, Be Our Guest, Be Our Guest, and let Disney do the rest."
Well, that's international. That's international.
Okay, off topic, but I had to put it up.
Right. Okay, and say hello to Ronnie and.
Ronnie Fraser, he's from my community here, and actually we knew each other from back in high school, and he's become a great supporter and fan of the live streaming of BeLive, and not just with this is the other thing, right? Like Kelly, for example, Kelly Shoddy, who's out there. I've known him locally for many years, and he followed my stuff, and now he watches you, Steven, and you and Fonz and Bridgetti, and he watches a whole bunch of people. And I do want to take a moment and give a shout out to our friend Dom Fernandez, who started his Talking MS, because he has MS. And there's another good example of doing your passion. He's been fighting MS for 17 years now. And now he, I got him into the live streaming part. We got him a camera and a microphone, and then he started his group to the point now he's met a few other folks, and he's starting to write a book. And it's just one thing has just led to another, and I do want to give prayers to him. He's been in and out of the hospital, and he's back in there again, but he's this weekend, but he's hoping to be back home tomorrow. So Dom, I am thinking about you. And he did say, but here's one of the things, the most positive things about him. He said, "Say hello to Steven and Bridgetti for me. I know you got that show you got to do today." So, there's the relationship that goes beyond the live streaming as well.
Totally, and best wishes for everything, Dom, and kudos for everything you've actually done. I know David's helped you a great deal, but you are now broadcasting on a regular basis, and you're actually broadcasting internationally with Corinda in the UK. I know Corinda's really enjoying producing the shows, so go Team BeLive.
Yeah,
because the whole thing is the spirit of the community of everybody. There's no negative in live broadcasting. It all seems positive. Everybody helps everybody else. There's people, if you've got a problem, then people will provide you with a solution.
If you've got a problem, Steven will provide you with a solution, because he doesn't sleep, and he's like I hope there's like a BeLive Moderator of the Year award, because he doesn't sleep. You post something in BeLivers, I get up the next day and I look, and Steven's already looked after it. So, we just we're just floating on Steven's coattails here.
Thank you for that. I do. Right. Okay.
I mean, that was
that's very kind.
I'd like to give a shout out to Gospel, who's joined us, to Larissa, who's joined us, to Ronnie Fraser, and to Karen, who's joined us as well. Welcome. Lovely to see you in the comments.
Yeah, when you've sort of arrived. I was doing a 4-person chat. There was a private chat, and sort of talk about yourself, and it got around to me, and somebody just piped up, "Everybody knows Steven. Don't say a word. We'll just carry on." Yeah, I know. I'm everywhere. It's because I just enjoy. I'm just so grateful to actually be able to do this with BeLive. and to have made so many friends around the world. And
well, Larissa, you're welcome.
Yep, totally. Now, one of the things that we do have to touch on just for a moment is that there are thousands of broadcasts which go out on BeLive every day, and we don't hear anything because they're all working perfectly well. Now, the BeLivers group has 3 functions. First is you can promote your own shows in the daily threads that Bridgetti is posting at the moment, and believe you me, works. More people will watch your show. You can chat with the BeLive users in the BeLivers group, but the third thing you can do is you can post your problems. Now, incredibly, not everybody is a member of BeLivers group, but there is some sound advice that we can give to people who do have problems. So if we take it in turns until we run out of ideas, I'll go first because I've got the easy one, is if you've got a problem as host of a show and your image is not good, press refresh. Who's next?
I'm going to carry on with that, but I just want to interrupt our chatter for just 1 second. I want to remind everyone who's currently watching live and anyone who watches on the replay, we've got a competition running with LiveCon 2019 with an absolutely fantabulous giveaway. We have got a 3-year free BeLive subscription valued at $900.
Wow.
And all you have to do to be in the running to qualify for this amazing prize is type LiveCon in the comments. So if you want to be in the running for the 3-year subscription, it's an awesome prize, the best ever, because it's a 3-year celebration of BeLive TV. Do it now. Type LiveCon in the comments and be in the running to get that awesome 3-year subscription valued at $900 for a BeLive TV subscription. Go ahead, type LiveCon in the comments.
Brilliant. And you can type it today. You can type it tomorrow. You've typed on Wednesday. There are 3 prizes, 1 each day.
Should be able to just type wow. I mean, that's
yeah.
That's awesome. Sorry, Bridgetti, were you done with the?
No.
So my quick tip is to avoid any problems with your broadcast. Prepare. Do not do a live show without having done your checks and balances. Do test, do schedule time with your guests in advance. Check their microphone, check their camera, check their lighting. Make sure it all works. It's going to reduce so much stress.
Yeah.
Before you go live, if you've taken the time to do those tests with your guests, and your guests are going to feel so much more relaxed, because remember, your guests are not broadcasters, but if they know you're in control, you've got it, you've got this, and you've got all the bases covered, they're going to feel so much more confident by the time you go live. So do make time for testing.
Yeah, great advice there. And you know, it might sound like there's a bit of a change going on here. Like, I know for me, when I first started doing my show live, people were like, "Oh, what number do I call?" No, this is video. Oh, is it Skype? And no, okay. So I have a list of things that I send out and instructions to be prepared. It encourages them to get in touch with me, and let's set up a scheduled time for rehearsal or whatever you want to call it. Understanding that people are busy, I get that. So if you can't make the time work for a practice, if it's their first, I have a lot of people who come back to my show regularly, so I've got them trained now, so I don't always have to have that follow-up. But it took me a couple of years to get them trained.
Yeah
as well, right? So great tips in there. First thing, if you ever have a problem, yes, refresh, and then to Bridgetti, the Scouts model. Be prepared. Be yourself prepared. Don't expect this to happen a few minutes before. Now, my piece of advice for using the BeLivers group is if you have a problem, and I see people do this, and welcome to, well, why isn't this working and that working? But let's keep it positive, please. When I see people making comments like, well, this happened and that sucks. Okay, to me, that's just kind of being a little bit negative about it. Have you shared any information of what actually went through? Give as much information step by step. And if you need a longer conversation than that, then I would say get in touch with the BeLive support, and maybe we can get the email for support up on the screen there as well. If it's not a quick fix, and make sure you've got your ducks in a row. You just try to think it through a little bit yourself. But when you're commenting, keep it positive.
Totally agree. Because you get more help that way, and people pitch in. Now, if you go live, as we all do, the best time to contact support if you have a problem is whilst you're live. Afterwards, you can tell us what happened, and you can tell us to the nth degree, and the engineers can go after the recording and they can try and check it and get back to you with the solution to the problem. 9 times out of 10 they can do that. The other 10% takes a bit longer. But if you report a problem by pressing the orange red button, bottom right hand corner of your studio, you are talking to live support 24/7. And that means that drop yourself in the broadcast, say help in the chat, and somebody will come along and they'll ask you a couple of questions and they will try and help you on the spot. This is why it's so important. If they cannot resolve it from the answers that you give them, then they can call on a technician who's available 24/7. They can actually come into your show and they can see what's going on. They can see David, they can see me, they can see Bridgetti, they can see the comments, and they can see the code that's running behind it. Yeah. So if somebody has a blurry picture or bad sound, then they can tell exactly what the cause is there and then. Now, 3 weeks ago, because this is not, David and I have this discussion virtually every week. This is not television. This is not totally broadcast quality. One day it will be when we've got fiber to our routers, then all will be good. Until then, we're going to get the occasional problem. If you do, click the button and you get somebody to help you. Now, 3 weeks ago, I had a problem on the show and I was joined by Slava from the Ukraine, and well, I just had to bring him into the show. So I was on camera, he was on camera, he was diagnosing the fault, I was explaining what he was doing. But at the end of it, he said to me, right, okay, I know what the problem is. Whilst we've been doing this, the technicians have sorted it. Please refresh. And I refreshed and everything was perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah. So live support, it's there. You right? Okay.
I have my. I've got my. I don't know if our producer can. I'm trying to share my screen here. I don't know if she can share that, just to show everybody. There it is. Thank you for doing that. So here's the chat that Steven's talking about. So you're seeing a studio side as though I'm a guest. So I'll go back. So down here in the bottom right hand corner, I click on that, and then there'll be. Do we want to try this live?
Go for it.
Do we have time? Okay. Hello. Doing a test of live support for LiveCon. They're like, who's this guy? Right? But no, of course, this is going to depend if they're busy, because we're not the only broadcasters on BeLive. There's several thousands of us, right? But this is where you would get in touch with. There is support there 24 hours a day, right?
Totally.
Yeah,
totally.
And that's BeLive doesn't sleep. BeLive doesn't sleep, and that's available to everybody when you're guests. Okay, looks like we're getting a bit of a response. Looks like it's Alina.
Okay, that's good. Now, David and I have a show on Monday, and that's at 12 p.m. Eastern. That's our shout out. Bridgetti and I have a show on Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. And on the show this week, we will be covering everything that takes place in the 3 days of BeLive's birthday. So anything you hear about during these 3 days, we'll be doing a review of in the show at 11 a.m. on Friday. If you missed that show, then 12 p.m. Monday will be David and I. So we'll do it twice. And say hello to Patricia and hello, Paul, as well.
There you go. So we're saying that, we're just saying thanks to Alina and for them to keep up the great work that they're doing here. So she'll probably.
Surely. Yeah.
And there's the email address that you can send, if you've got a longer query that needs further investigating, then please use the email, which is team@BeLive.tv. And they are very, very responsive via email as well. So do drop an email to the team if your problem hasn't been resolved, and send them a link to your broadcast. And I want to just reiterate what you said in closing, David.
Yeah.
If you get stuck, if you're wanting some kind of assistance, please, drop us, tell us exactly what happened in the broadcast. As David said, it's not helpful to us or helpful to you if you leave a comment saying it sucks, my broadcast was a mess. It doesn't help us diagnose what the problem was. Give us a link to your broadcast. Tell us what happened that led up to the problem. It's also useful telling us what your internet speed is. It's useful telling us what system you're using. It's useful letting us know which browser you were using at the time when the problem occurred. Those are useful things to help us diagnose, and we will do our best to help you as moderators in the group. We get great pleasure out of helping people. I love helping people. I know Steven does and David does. Each and every one of the moderators loves helping people. So, and never hold back from asking. You're not going to learn unless you ask. So please go ahead and ask us in the group if there's anything at all. If you want help with improving your show, if you're looking for guests for your show, if you're looking for ideas for your show, drop them all in there. We want to help. We are available at any time because we work 24/7. The moderators also have been scattered on purpose to be in different time zones so that we can be of assistance.
Yeah. A shout out to Adair and Thione, who have their own show later this week. Well, there we are.
From my country, if you're celebrating, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Today is Thanksgiving Day here in Canada, so it's been a long weekend. And Steven, I just want to say thanks to you for taking the lead on this as well. And Bridgetti, it's always nice to connect with you. Well, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you, David. We're a team. We're a global team.
That was a fantastic segment. I love Find Your Passion. Like you said, you can do a show about anything. As long as you're passionate about it, there's going to be an audience for you.